Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Happy holidays. My name is Patrice Thomas. You are listening to the Mother's Justice Show on 11:50 a.m. Today we have a special guest. Her name will be I am with Mothers Impacted by Gun Violence. Today we will be having another one of our famous discussions. We will have Devitta Briscoe with us. Hi, Devitta. How are you? Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, how are you today, Davita?
Oh, I'm great. I'm great.
And happy birthday to you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So today we will be discussing gun violence, and so we're just gonna quickly get started with the program with our discussion. All right. Today
Mhm.
we are gathering to honor and remember those we have lost with gun violence. As you as I'm introducing, I already introduced Davita. Let's go. And could you please tell us about your child and the memory that you want to share with us in this space?
Memory of him.
Yes, your child.
Okay. Uh, well, I guess I'll just start by um saying my son Donald, I was about 20 years old when he was born. It was just me and him for a long time. I had no other kids, so I raised him as a single mother. And I felt like I was kind of pretty young at that time, so we kind of grew up together. Just curly head, goofy kid, big eyes, very smart in school. Uh, I guess he took after his mama. And yeah, tragedy. Just well, before that, I'll say, one of my fondest memories of Donald. I think he was in the third or fourth grade, and he had a field trip, but I guess we forgot to pack a lunch, so I had stopped at a 7-Eleven to run in and get him a sandwich, some chips, and a juice, and some snacks for his lunch. When I come back out to the car, I see that he doesn't have a coat on, so I'm like, Donald, where's your coat? And he's like, well, I don't need a coat because I got on three shirts. And I'm like, well, well, if you're going on a field trip, common sense should have told you to grab a coat. So he just like throws his hands up in the air, like with frustration. And he's like, well, that's what I've been trying to figure out. And I'm like, what? He said, who is common sense? So, so that was just like the funniest thing. I still just, that is just planted in my head like forever. It's just the funniest moment I had ever had with him. So, I guess I was always telling him about common sense. So he just wanted to know who was common sense. So anyway, that's just the fondest memory I have of him. We ended up moving. Well, he was raised in Seattle, born in Seattle, went to school in Seattle. We didn't move till Tacoma till I think he was in the eighth grade. And around that time, he just really was bullied by the kids in that neighborhood on the east side. He was always a real well-mannered child. Never gave me a lot of problems, always excelled in school. I think just being around that age of growing up into manhood and not really having a father in his life, but also being bullied by the kids in that neighborhood. I just think, yeah, everything just kind of went downhill when we moved there. And I think it was just all the pressure from other young men in that area who who just wanted him to be tough, wanted him to prove he wasn't a punk, wanted him to fight and all the things. And so, he ended up turning to the gangs for protection. Even though I tried. Oh, hello? You still there?
I hear you. Go
Oh,
ahead.
okay, okay. Even though he he I think me trying to call the police and trying to call the school for protection, he didn't really he didn't want me to call the police, and because that would have embarrassed him and humiliated him. So he wanted to try to figure it out on his own of how to protect himself. And so unfortunately, the gang that he ended up joining for protection, he ended up turning to um towards the gang, and not so much because he was a bad kid, but because that was the only way he felt he could survive. And that ended up being the gang, or friends. Apparently, one of the young men ended up shooting him uh, unintentionally, uh, trying to shoot someone else, and the bullet hit my son instead of who he was intending to shoot. So he was 17 years old at that time. That was the most devastating moment of my life. But um, yeah, so he didn't survive his injuries. And the young man who shot him was the same age. He was 17 as well. And so, anyway, that's how that whole tragedy unfolded.
Well, thanks for sharing that with us. I know how it is. I have lost two kids due to gun violence, and you're very strong. I'm gonna go to number two. So I know that you are involved with the mayor's office with the guns violence liaison. And can you tell us the liaison? And can you tell us what do you do? What's your position there? And what do you guys focus on?
I really just, well, I'm a strategic advisor to the mayor around gun policy in the city. Also, really as a liaison, that position really puts me in a role to where I could collaborate with the people who are closest to the problem. The mayor really believes that community driven solutions, those, can drive better outcomes. So I'm able to work with not only victims who are impacted by gun violence, but also able to coordinate with the violence prevention, community led safety work that's being headed up and funded by the city.
Mhm.
So my work involves community engagement, solutions implementation, engaging with the organizations and figuring out like what are the gaps, what else do we need to help bring better solutions, like our hospital-based uh, gun violence program, looking at our shots fired reports, all of our data, working with our providers that are on the ground. A lot of times they're facing every single day that they're out there. They are also losing people that they have worked with for years, and sometimes that person may get shot, and so it impacts them in a way that it doesn't impact our other first responders,
Right.
because these first responders are, they don't have a badge and a gun, but they are true first responders. And so they're just an alternative first response. But they're working in the trenches every single day with these young people and trying to give them an alternative, and also trying to reduce retaliations,
Yes.
so giving them the support that they need as well,
Hmm.
because they don't have pensions, they don't have healthcare plans like we do, they don't have all of the benefits that people who work for the city and also all of our other first responders have. They don't have access to that kind of stuff. But the trauma that they're vicarious trauma that they face every day, there are
Yes.
times they're out there, they're being shot at, or people that it may be a young man they've worked with for a year, and that young person may end up getting killed. So that's
Right.
traumatic for them as well. So, looking at, how can we improve better wellness and mental health support work for our providers? What other services do our victims who are impacted, and what other ways can we prevent shootings from happening instead of just responding to them.
Yes.
So, so just making those recommendations to our executive team, and also, what type of policies do we want to support at the state legislature? So all of those things are, and then also building relationships on a national scale with other people who are national best practice experts. How can we bring in more technical assistance that can be provided to the city, so that we can get ahead of shootings and also be on the cutting edge of bringing in innovative solutions, and things like that. So, you know, I think, the mayor's vision is that we will be one of the safest and healthiest cities in the nation. And so
Yes.
I think we have a shared vision around that, a shared values of wanting to see that, every community should feel safe and free from the threat of gun violence. He really believes that. And so my role is just to support him and the executives and our team on how we can improve public safety.
Great. And that's great. So I will go to the next one. You have to deal with the worst news a parent can receive. What gives you hope to keep going?
I think things like, the mayor appointing someone who has experienced a tragedy. So I'm no
Right.
stranger to
Mm-hmm.
what our community is suffering. And then, appointing a person who is usually not in the traditional role. There's usually the people you see in these spaces are usually it's dominated by men.
Yes.
And so to be a mother, and a woman in this space is commendable. That he saw that not only did I have a personal interest in that I'm closely tied to the issue from the personal experience, but also knowing that I bring a level of expertise, and that as a mother, I hold like the moral authority in the community, but
Mm-hmm.
also that being closest to the problem, I have like lot more solutions focused, and also can just bring a dynamic that most people who haven't probably experienced a loss. So I approach it in a different way, because I'm also a survivor. So anyway, yeah, I bring just a level of expertise, but
Mm-hmm.
also bring it to this. So that's what gives me hope, is that more people. And just now, I just was accepted into the University of Chicago Community Violence Intervention Leadership Academy. So it's an emerging field, and just being with other practitioners across the country who are
Yes.
also leading this work in their cities, and seeing what new practices, and seeing how to use data, how to use research, connecting with other funders, connecting with other people across the country, and how they are leading up the work and working with their offices of violence prevention, working with their mayor's office of neighborhood safety, seeing how it's being implemented in other cities, and seeing more people putting community violence interventions, which we call CVI, just putting it on a national scale. Even the White House just recently, Kamala Harris was over the new Department of Gun Violence Prevention,
Yes.
and all the investments, the millions of dollars, and all of the policies that are being changed at a federal level, the bipartisan under the Biden administration, the Safer Communities Act, more funding being poured into community-led solutions, a public health approach. The Attorney General just saying that gun violence is a public health issue. So the more and more of an investment, the more political will that's been built around it, the more attention that's being focused on the people who are being killed. So we're prioritizing now a population of people that have been deprioritized and ignored for too long.
Yes.
So this is the leading cause of death for Black young men and males. So that population has not been on America's agenda for some time. And, so we saw how fast we solved COVID. We saw how much money was put into the opioid epidemic.
Yes.
That same amount of investment and attention should be put on this issue as well.
Yes.
So I think that's what gives me hope. I don't think gun violence will not be solved in my lifetime, but we are planting the seeds for there to be a day when gun violence is not at epidemic levels that it is now. So
But
that's what gives me hope.
as you and I both know, like the gun violence it just seems like it's just getting worse and worse out here. And it's like as I speak to, other mothers and, families, and for a fact, it's like when you say, when will it end? I'm just really getting like, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the gun violence, because having a phone call say that your child who's 17, 18, 20 years old is not with us anymore, that's like really devastating. And again, we're just strong. You're strong to even to have to endure the pain, and that's great that you're out here doing the work, being one of the numbers that can help our Black young men.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, I often say I didn't choose this work. This work chose me. If I really had my choice, I wouldn't be doing this. And I always feel like my role is to work myself out of a job. I don't want to have this job. So I wish we could just with the stroke of a pen just eliminate it,
Yeah,
eradicate. I think it will take time, and I think sometimes to get to the root, you got to see every ugly end of it, right? It's got to rear its ugliest parts of it, and we're going to have to witness all of that, right?
yes,
It's kind of like a warfare, and so it's going to come at us hard, and we
yes,
have to have that in mind, as we are still continuing to push towards better solutions.
yes,
I was talking with someone yesterday where we were discussing weapons detection, like using AI to detect guns on people when they're walking in schools.
yes,
And the tragedy that happened this morning, children are losing their lives. I mean, just it's devastating, and we're seeing it over and over and over again. So I think that your question really is not like, we're not going to just take one law and eradicate gun violence, right? what
no,
it's
of course
really
not.
what it's really going to take is day-to-day conversations, and because we can change policies, we can change laws, we can fund community-based organizations,
Yeah,
we can ban assault weapons, we could do all these things, right? But
yes,
the everyday conversations of changing culture, that's another part. And every day of, how do I manage my emotions, um how do I change my destructive language, how because people don't see that as a precursor to violence, right?
yes,
Destructive language, like calling someone a name. We call people names before we can harm them, because we have to minimize their humanity.
yes,
So if in war times, they didn't call the Japanese. They didn't say we're going to go kill the Japanese. They said we're going to go kill the Japs. They didn't say
yep,
go kill the Cambodians. They said we're going to go kill the Gooks. In the Rwanda, they said, they're cockroaches. So when you call someone a name, you could then minimize them, and so we think of these names as just being harmless,
yes,
but they're not exactly harmless. It's a way for you to minimize the harm, to minimize their humanity, and so
Yes.
that you can perpetuate violence. So it's those conversations, right? It's those small conversations every day. How do you speak to people? How are you dealing with your trauma? How are you managing your anger? How are
Yes.
you building your emotional intelligence? Um, how are you learning to solve problems? The bottom line is that we believe we can solve problems with violence. We believe even in the Black community, we're shamed if we go to therapy. We're shamed if, we don't go to church and pray. We're not
Right.
supposed to go see those white counselors. You know what I'm saying? So it's the stigma. It's the culture of creating a culture where we solve every problem with a gun. The gun is the barrel, the outlet of aggression.
Yes.
um, the way Black boys are socialized to think, being tough, not being a punk,
Mm-hmm.
is what authentic Blackness is. So it's all of those misguided ideas about manhood. It's all of those things. There's not no one solution. It's all of it. It's everybody putting their hand to the plow. It's public health. It's our schools. It's our elected officials, it's our grandmothers, how we're raising Black boys, how we're raising our children, raising our girls. Uh,
Yes.
so it's all of it, right? And so that's the public health approach is everybody putting their hands on deck and everybody having a role and a responsibility. It's not just the police, it's not just the mayor, it's all of us all coming together every single day. um, and so those individual responses and change of behavior, change of the way that we do things is how we're going to solve this problem.
Yes. And I totally agree. It's about showing up, letting everybody let everyone know that we are here. We're not going to go nowhere, and we will have a change. But it does take time. It does take time, and we have to just
Absolutely.
get involved more. Say if you're going to do something, just keep doing it, and at the end, you will have results. You will.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Okay,
Yeah.
we're going to take a quick break for a moment. We are listening to the Mother's Justice Show, 1150 KKNW, and I'm with Devitta Briscoe, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
The Mother's Justice Show is brought to you by H.G. Walden and the Virtues Healing Circles. Join us for Wisdom and Wellness with Reverend Walden, a monthly virtual and in-person healing circle that focuses on community healing and growth. Learn more at virtueshealing.com. That's virtueshealing.com. Also, be sure to join our healing group on Facebook. Again, visit us at virtueshealing.com today.
Welcome back. Welcome back. My name is Patrice Thomas with Mothers Impacted by Gun Violence. I am hosting the show today, the Mother Justice Show, and we are going to finish up with our conversation with Devitta. Devitta, are you still there with me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna get right back into our little questions. So what in 2025, what will be the plan for the liaison office? Like any big projects going on?
Well, I don't have in my role, I'm just one person. I don't have an entire department. Other cities have like an office of neighborhood safety, or they
Mhm.
have an office of gun violence prevention. We don't necessarily have an office like that. But so I guess what I could say is, there is the mayor's executive order to support our student safety. We also have a close partnership with public health in the county. So the mayor and the executive working on supporting a countywide and the city coming together to support, like a strong partnership to address gun violence. And that's because we have a lot of people who no longer live in Seattle, but may live on the outskirts of Seattle, but we don't want those geographical barriers to stop a young man or a young woman from getting services. So there's that regional approach. Also, just continuing to make more and better investments in our community safety money. That's going to be, money that's going out to the community to lead up community-led safety work.
Yeah.
And then again, like I got to think more, but yeah, so just some of those things. And then again, I'm also in the Leadership Academy now, the CBI Leadership Academy. So that will give me more insight on what I can bring back to the city to inform a lot of our approaches.
Yes, well, that is great. So tell me, Devitta, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So tell me, like, how hold on, how does how does the organization that you engage with are helping the younger generation bring like more importancy work, and how does the conversation begin?
How does the conversation begin on
Like
the
reaching out to like the young men and the young ladies due to gun violence.
so some of the work that I can't speak for all of them. There's more, there's like diversion programs that we're
Mm.
investing in. There are that give that are for, young people who are in the criminal justice system and, want to make like an honorable exit. And so we have some of those programs that support some of those individuals to connect them to services, to connect them to employment opportunities. So usually that's how the conversation would start for people who are in the criminal justice system. But then there are
Yeah.
others too um, that maybe they are engaging them through school because we have safe passage. So that's a program that's funded by the city. That's
Yeah.
a neighborhood hub-based model. So where we see high levels of gun violence in our Rainier Beach area or our Central District or West Seattle, there are organizations in those areas that are supporting young people and then also stopping retaliations or stopping fights, connecting with young people on a day-to-day basis to kind of like get intel of who's beefing with who and, doing
Yeah.
conflict mapping. They're also supporting victims that are gunshot victims. And right when they're in that moment of reevaluating how they got into that situation, that's a time that we can work with the gunshot victims because, some of them, all of them didn't get themselves there, but for the ones they'll either work with trying to stop another retaliation, or they will also try to work with those victims to connect them to services and also try to bring restabilize their life before they were shot. So there's a study that was done by Dr. Ali Rouhani,
Mhm.
who helped to set up that program at Harborview. What he learned through his study, Seattle was like the first city in the nation to do research, because the CDC the CDC can do research now, but they were prohibited from doing that for decades. But what he learned from that research was that gunshot victims who are shot have a high chance of being shot again. And you have a very small window to engage them, like within 72 hours. So that's why hospital-based intervention, gun violence prevention programs have been popping up all over the nation and like in all trauma centers, because they're trying to break that cycle of people just not coming to the hospital to get their wounds stitched up and then go right back out into the same environment. And there's no prescription to stop that person or to break that cycle. So that's where the work starts right there at the hospital. So engaging with people at the hospital, engaging people with young people who are coming into the criminal justice system, engaging with young people who are in the school system, and then also just doing street outreach, which is just connecting with people in the neighborhood, and being visible and accessible and present. Those are other ways that our teams are engaging with people who might be victims or who might be perpetrators as well. You still there? Uh-oh. What happened? Hello?
I'm
Oh,
here. I'm here, y'all.
I was like, what
I
happened?
am here. Like, what happened? I'm not gonna leave you. Never, ever, never. So, what can our listeners do today to get involved? I know we discussed that about getting more involved, but how can if you were to speak to someone today, how would you come about letting them know how to get involved in the community work?
I think people too just have to kind of find their lane. You know, maybe people are they're good at raising money. So, some of these organizations that may need additional funding, maybe people are good at lobbying, maybe people are, they're good at advocating for certain policies and initiatives. Uh, Maybe people like to work with young people in after school programs. Maybe people have medical expertise, so they're researchers. There's like so many different ways that people could contribute. You don't have to be an elected official. You don't have to have a certain skill set or expertise. Uh, you know, there's some people who could volunteer at the juvenile detention center. I mean, there again, like there's just such a number of ways to get involved, and just maybe sometimes also just joining the conversation. Maybe if you're a gun owner, um, and you believe in your Second Amendment rights, and and you want to create a less hostile environment between people who are pushing policy around guns. I mean, so I just think there's so many different ways for people to get involved. There's so many like pop-up community events, um, prevention through environmental design is ensuring that the neighborhood has proper lighting and that there's not graffiti, and making sure that there's not litter and trash. Maybe you might want to do a community cleanup, in an area that has a lot of, shots fired reports. So it's a number of things. And again, it's not just one thing. Getting neighbors together, to have more social cohesion. All of those things, prevent gun violence. And I think sometimes people think it just has to be this big thing. Sometimes it's very small seeds that are planted every day. It's just the average everyday person doing something unique or creative that they bring to the table. I was just on the phone with somebody for an hour where they want to create film and documentaries on with the real actual people in those communities. And I was like, wow, I never thought about that. Nobody's doing that. And so, and that's something he's great at. He's great at producing films. And but he's like, I want them to be authentic. I want it to be with the actual people in those neighborhoods and tell a story about community violence intervention. And so anyway, yeah, there's so many ways. Holding community forums and just educating community on safe gun storage, handing out lock boxes,
Yes.
joining Moms Demand Action,
Right.
presenting your own violence prevention curriculum. Like there's so many things to do. Producing songs. Kids are doing like art and healing therapy, giving kids cameras to go out in the community and tell their own story, and giving them a voice, giving mothers a voice, like what's happening right now in this podcast. Um,
Yes.
Mothers who are impacted are usually the least people that we hear from. But again, they're the ones who suffer the most. But everybody pushing the policies and showing up at the county and the city council meetings are not you and me.
Yeah.
Not you and me. It's
Right.
all the people who have all the concerns, and they don't live in these neighborhoods and probably never suffered a loss, but they got so much to say about what they think should happen.
Yeah.
Right. And it's
Mhm.
normally, again, not people like you and me. So even just creating a space for people who are the most impacted but the least listened to, um, that's huge. So thank you.
I appreciate that. So, is there anything that you would like to ask me? I'm the shy one. So,
Um, I don't know. I don't know what. Well, maybe. What do you find most challenging? Trying to like navigate this space through the lens of a bereaved mother. Like, what do you find most challenging for other mothers like you and like yourself? What's like the greatest challenge that you see? And maybe not like just on a local level, but even as you go across the country, like Minneapolis and some other cities, what do you find as being the biggest
thing
challenge?
for me, can you hear me?
Yes,
You said the most challenging thing. The most
yes,
challenging thing for me, well, for one, at first, it's just getting out there, speaking and telling my story. And the other thing is like just understanding that I'm not by myself out here. There's other mothers and fathers, and just to let them know that just my just to let them know that they're not alone, and it's going to be rough because we face this challenge, and we don't understand the challenge in the beginning, right? We sit up here and ask why is this happening? Why is this happening?
The Mother's Justice Show is brought to you by H.G. Walden and the Virtues Healing Circles. Join us for Wisdom and Wellness with Reverend Walden, a monthly virtual and in-person healing circle that focuses on community healing and growth. Learn more at virtueshealing.com. That's virtueshealing.com. Also, be sure to join our healing group on Facebook. Again, visit us at virtueshealing.com today.
Thank you for coming back. You're listening to the Mother Justice Show. My name is Patrice Thomas with Mothers Impacted by Gun Violence. And we are still having a conversation with Miss Devitta. Devitta, you still there?
yes, I'm here.
Great. So, Devitta, can you go back and please ask me the question again? What you asked
I was
me? So I
asking,
can put
what what's what's one of the greatest challenges that you faced as a mother who has been impacted by gun violence as you travel across the country? What are you seeing here locally, and then what do you see across the nation as just being a challenge or the most challenging navigating um the gun violence prevention space?
well,
Yeah, can you hear me?
well, the challenges that I faced at first was getting out there and using my voice properly and knowing how to engage in the community. And it's just like as I experience traveling and going to Minnesota, like I said, I just got back from New York, which was a very powerful thing for me. and just to be there for families that call me. So it was really a challenge for me to really use my voice, and I think I've gotten better and better about doing that, knowing that they're not alone. So the most challenging thing for me is just the right words to tell a family, give them comfort, because at the end of the day, I still need comfort too,
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's my most
Did we lose her again?
yes. So, wait, see,
Yeah, your phone.
this is great. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize about the inconvenience. I don't know what's going on. I'm having a rough day today. So, if you could do anything with the community in your name, what would it be?
What do you mean? Say that again. If I can do
Like,
anything.
like gun violence, awareness. What would it be in your
Um,
name? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I would just continue to um use the Alive and Free prescription
Mhm.
and to try to infuse that as, like required health education, violence
Mhm.
prevention as like a part of the school curriculum or the school requirements. So all the
Uh-huh.
way from elementary school all the way to high school. I just think that we should be talking about firearm safety education, injury prevention. We
Mhm.
should be talking about de-escalating, emotional intelligence, emotional control. All of that stuff should be incorporated into our daily
Yes.
education system. I don't know why we wait till somebody's 18, to talk about a lot of these things when it needs to be part of our educational system from early age and on. I think if I could do anything, that's what I would do.
Davita, thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
I appreciate you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yes, I do, even though we're having a mishap with my phone.
Yeah.
And
I was
thanks
like,
for
"What?"
joining us and giving us
You're
your
welcome.
time on
Yeah.
your special day.
Oh, you're right. You're welcome.
So many, many more, because some of us didn't make it, but
Yeah.
you have overcame that challenge.
Oh,
Appreciate
yeah.
you.
You're welcome.
Well,
Okay.
thank you. And again, we are listening to the Mother Justice Show. My name is Patrice Thomas with Mothers Impacted by Gun Violence. Happy holidays and all that good stuff. Thanks for listening. Until next time.